Hello everyone, I'm making this video to give you my thoughts on Star Wars The Old Republic's Chapter 12 of Knights of the Fallen Empire. Now before I start, a little disclaimer, I may be a little more negative than it deserves because I'm in a foul mood. Some of you may remember that I had monitor issues. Basically my monitor broke. I took it to repairs, stood there for a week, they didn't manage to repair it. I bought a new one a couple of days ago and I returned it because it was faulty. And I still haven't resolved this, and so there we go. Now chapter 12. Okay, let's start with the good. This chapter is different from the previous two. They felt a little too on rails, you land on a planet, you meet your recruit and you do whatever they want before you recruit them, before they join you. Here, it is a little more personal. There are a little more references that are character specific. There isn't an excess of fighting. There's a little more lore, like little bits and pieces that you can find around the map, and you can sort of investigate SWTOR's ship and whatnot. There are some subtle romance bits, although I would have liked some more. For example, there's a little bit of unique dialogue with SWTOR if you romance Theron. But for example, when it comes to sending Jorgen over to the Gemini thingy, I didn't seem to find any unique lines when playing a female trooper who romanced Jorgen. A lot of cliffhangers, a little too much, I would say. Like, you send off Jorgen and Khalil and you don't really know what's happening to them at the end of the chapter. You don't really know why Valkorion left and what's he doing, where he's going. You also don't really know where and why Darth Maul and SWTOR are going. So it ends on a lot of unknowns. It's not necessarily a bad thing, it's just I'm hoping that we get a good resolution in the following chapters so that it wasn't just pointless cliffhanging to pique our interest and then have no satisfying conclusion. Now, what I didn't like? Well, basically the meat of the chapter. This chapter is about... I have no idea what it is about, really. And that's the thing, I mean, there's so much dialogue in this chapter. SWTOR and Mart say so much, and it all just feels like philosophical mumbo-jumbo that just flies over your ears and that's it. And it's ironic, actually, because at one point, Darth Maul literally says, "We do not offer empty platitudes." But it is exactly how I felt. Empty platitudes will be a perfect description of how listening to them felt. So there is a lot of philosophy about the Force and the will of the Force and why the Jedi failed and why the Sith failed and why the Knights of Zakul succeeded and how they view the Force and how we view the Force and how the Force should be viewed and what it is and how it works and all sorts of things like that. But it didn't really work for me. Now, I tried to pay a little more attention as I replayed the chapter a few times already. But even if you try and pay close attention, there are things that just doesn't make much sense or have no real logical explanation. For example, why the Jedi and the Sith fail and the Knights of Zakul succeed. Well, it's because of their attitude towards the Force. It's because of the way they perceive the Force. The Jedi treat the Force as their ally, as their companion. The Sith treat it as a tool, as a servant to bend to their will, and both are wrong, while the Knights of Zakul treat it as a reward for their devotion to the Emperor. And the more devoted they are, the more they honor his commands, the stronger they are with the Force. Basically, that's the whole premise. And there is absolutely no further explanation as to why that is the case. Is it that the Force doesn't want you to be its companion or its master, but want you to be the servant of another? And the more devoted a servant you are, the stronger, like the more it will reward you or something? I don't know. It just makes no sense to me. She might have said that they are stronger with the Force because they treat it as their reward for the knowledge they acquire. And the smarter they get, the stronger they get with the Force. Like, that would have made equal amount of sense. There is nothing to support that claim. not to mention that Arkan, Valkorion, and Valen, who are arguably the strongest, they don't have devotion for a master. So how are they so strong? Another thing that Mar actually says is that Arkan cannot be defeated through passion or through righteousness because he has emptied himself of emotion and morality. Which, I mean, first off, doesn't necessarily follow logically. Like, if you empty yourself of feelings, why do you become immune to those who are very passionate? And on top of that, this is clearly false because we see Arkan being obviously jealous and power hungry and angry at times. You know, we see it in the trailers. Valkorion himself says it, and it's just, again, just things that sound kind of philosophical and good, but don't really have much substance to them. And oh, there's one more which is probably my favorite. Towards the end, again, Darth Maul says that the Force has a will of its own, but it needs a commander. Now, previously they say that the Force is not our ally, and it's not our servant, and that it has a will of its own, but now they say that the Force needs a commander? Like, if it has a will of its own, if it doesn't want to be your servant, how does it need a commander? It's just, I don't know. So, yeah, I tried just sort of listening to what they have to say without being very critical of it, and it just flew by my ears and I didn't get anything. Then I tried being more focused, paying more attention to what they're actually saying, and it made little to no sense. On top of that, it's probably even worse when I play a non-Force sensitive character. So that's the whole chapter. I don't know what's happening. In fact, I kind of dislike the change that has occurred within Satele and Mar. I mean, I suppose that they've both become a little more neutral, because it's like the Force wants it, I guess. But I don't know. When you ask Mar why he still wears the armor, he says he wants to be a symbol. He wants to be remembered as the symbol he was, or something like that. And it's funny because he no longer is a symbol of that. Like, he no longer believes the same thing he used to when he wore the armor. So, I don't know. And then Satele has become kind of cold, kind of even heartless, to be honest. Especially if you romance Theron and you try to suggest that, you know, when she says that she was pondering on whether she should end you when she found you, or when they found you, and you say something like, you know, Theron might have had a problem with that, and she's like, I don't care about his feelings. Well, she says something else, but that's more or less what it boils down to. So yeah, I like the chapter on one hand because it was refreshing. It was not boring. It makes me want to play it on all characters, and I don't feel like a chore as much as the previous chapters. In that way, it's a good chapter, but when it comes to the meat of it, you know, the whole will of the Force, Knights of Zakul are strong because of this, and we are weak because of that, and we should change on the inside, and what... that... it didn't work on me. I mean, tell me if it worked on you, but not for me. To me, it's just like confusing dialogue and cliffhangers that lead to the next chapter. So tell me what you think, and until next video, thanks for watching, stay tuned, and be good.